I think the important thing to realize is, the US went from no reactors to 90 reactors from 1970 to 1990. And, a lot of people are saying, well, this, quadrupling, it's too big, it's too bullish, it's too ambitious. I always come back to a quote that I absolutely love from Bill Gates. It's attributed to him anyway, is, we always overestimate what we can achieve in 1 year and vastly underestimate what we can achieve in 10.
Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Triangle Investor Interviews. I'm your host Lucian Valkovic, and before I announce my guests, just a reminder of a disclaimer. This interview and all my interviews are not a recommendation to buy, sell shares, products or services. Always do your due diligence and consult with your financial advisor. Today we are covering Noble Plains Uranium, a new significant uranium player in Wyoming, and I am joined by Paul Cowley, CEO of the company, and Drew Zimmerman, who serves as the president of the company. Gents, delighted to have you both here. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Drew, congratulations on your appointment as the president of Noble Plains Uranium. My first question goes to you. Can you share what attracted you to this role and how your background in commodities and capital markets align with the company's vision?
Yeah, first of all, very excited to be joining the team at Noble. Over the last several years, I've been, very interested and, increasingly more convinced that this uranium cycle and nuclear cycle is just starting, is just really getting built out. The need for decarbonization and energy security is continuing to push that. It seems like every week we're getting, positive headlines for the sector. So again, it's a sector that's just continuing to build. So when I was looking for new opportunities, I knew I wanted to be focusing in this sector and looking for opportunities that had a lot of leverage to that sector. And Noble Plains was that opportunity. It's being purpose-built for this current uranium market cycle that we are in. It's a strategy of being able to delineate pounds in the ground fast, efficiently, and effectively by going after projects that are in agreement states that have historical resources. So again, taking some of that risk out of the exploration side and being able to delineate pounds very, very quickly. And I think that is incredibly exciting. And my experience, well over a decade in capital markets and global commodities, is that when you have this kind of conviction, you have to lean in with an intensity and focus because they don't come around all the time. You always think there will be an opportunity somewhere, but this is one that is just, so glaringly obvious, I think, to the people that are really paying attention to it, that you really want to be involved in a big way. That's where coming to Noble, starting out at a small team, was the opportunity to really build something that is going to have a lot of leverage, exactly how we want to be exposed to this uranium place. To me, it was, no-brainer as we started to do the work and put the offer together for me to come on board, and I couldn't be more excited.
Definitely. Paul, you've described Drew's expertise as a tremendous asset. How did the decision to bring Drew on board come about, and what specific contributions do you expect from him in driving Noble Plains forward?
You just had an example of how good of a communicator Drew is. He's, we're building a team and a company, and it's so important to have a very, very well balanced team with various expertise and disciplines. That's going to result in success. You can see from Drew's intro. He's got a tremendous communication skill. His business sense is obviously very strong. His networks that he's developed over the last 20 years, his background in uranium is important to us.
Yes.
And obviously his drive. You can see his drive from his opening. This is going to elevate our profile. It's going to expand our shareholder base. and expand and speed up our messaging and marketing. So I'm very, very happy to have Drew working with us. We're working together very, very well. And I would just add one other thing, that you will see other additions to our team here in the coming weeks, because we are in the process of building up this company and our team.
Looking forward to see the new additions, and we will update my viewers about that. Let's talk a bit about the uranium market. Drew, with your experience in commodities, how do you assess the current state of the global and US uranium markets, and what factors do you believe will drive demand in the coming years?
You really opened the door for me there, because those of us in the sector know that we could talk on this topic for the next hour alone.
Try to do it in 2 or 3 minutes, please.
Yeah, and I will say again, hats off to you, Lucy, and the investors and viewers that you have. You do an incredible job of informing them on this channel. Very focused on uranium from the start, and that's important. But for me, there's, like I said off the top, a lot of headlines that are coming out. But the biggest significant shift is the change in public perception, because without public perception, projects just don't move forward. They run into roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. So I think we can firmly say that has changed. We're seeing it across the globe, country by country, state by state, that people are not only not wanting nuclear, they're now advocating for nuclear. And when you have that kind of shift happening, it allows the development that this industry needs to continue to move forward. So I think that's been the biggest piece, and that's going to allow for what the recent executive orders have set the stage for in the United States alone. But it's this build out wave that we see coming. Again, when public perception shifts, the first thing to happen was life extensions and then restarts. That was immediate demand. That's still happening. That's going to continue to happen. So that's the immediate side. But the big picture over the next couple of decades will be this build-out wave. And I think you have to look at it. I mean, China's 31 nuclear reactors under construction out of over 60 globally, really leading the charge there. Over 100 planned reactors across the globe, and that is with the United States having 0. And with what they just said to quadruple nuclear capacity in the next 25 years, I think it's just an absolutely huge, ambitious goal, but one that we need to look at and say, wow, this is going to start to happen. And I think the important thing to realize is, the U.S. went from no reactors to 90 reactors from 1970 to 1990. And, a lot of people are saying, well, this, quadrupling, it's too big, it's too bullish, it's too ambitious. I always come back to a quote that I absolutely love from Bill Gates. It's attributed to him anyway, is, we always overestimate what we can achieve in 1 year and vastly underestimate what we can achieve in 10. And I think that's what it's going to look like. It's going to look like we're moving a little slow for the first year or so, and then we're going to start to pick up momentum, and it's going to start to happen quick, and it's going to build quickly. And, for us as a junior exploration company, we're the front end of a pipeline that needs to start way ahead of everything else. By the time we explore, we find our assets, we delineate them, we get them developed, and then they start producing, that all has to start yesterday. So that's the exciting thing for us, is being right at the front end of that pipeline. And it's going to be an exciting, few years ahead of us, but, a few decades ahead of us. It's going to be tremendous to see what we can do.
Yeah, very good points. Paul administration has prioritized fast tracking of uranium mining projects in the United States to boost domestic energy production and reduce reliance on foreign imports, of course. Do you believe that the early stage projects, and I'm talking projects like yours, can benefit from this, and how will actually your company, how will Noble position here?
Well, this also just continues on with what Drew was saying as well. But 2 points. One, this executive order elevates the uranium sector to all investors. So money pours in to the sector, projects advance, and so all boats will rise. And companies that have real substance and real potential, fast track into production, will be the bigger winners. And then the second point is our projects are not early stage. I would characterize the projects that we are Shirley East is an earlier stage one, but this recent acquisition, this Shirley Central, is what I would term an intermediate project. And so because of that focus of our projects and the pipeline of projects that we're going after are for an ISR profile, that's going to speed up the track. So intermediate projects will advance. We're going after brownfield projects that have lots of drilling already, proven mineralization. They may be historic resources, evidence of a lot of drilling, and obviously the old. I wouldn't say old timers because I guess I'm an old timer here because a lot of the drilling was in the 70s, but they knew what they were doing, and the economics. The difference is that maybe the economics and the geopolitical aspects in those days had a good start and then a stop. We're able to leverage off of that information, that effort that was done by the earlier explorers, and so those are going to speed up the whole process for the industry and for projects and companies like ourselves that are going after these types of projects.
Excellent. Drew, the recent name change, it was Indigo Exploration before Noble Plains Uranium, signals a new chapter for the company. Can you elaborate on how this rebranding reflects your strategic focus on the U.S. uranium exploration and development?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a rebranding is important because it is stating our intent of what this company will do, and the fact that we are, from now as Noble Plains, purpose building a company for this uranium cycle. And even, Noble Plains is, an ode to where our focus will be and where it is right now in Wyoming and the American West. So again, it's important to be able to have that align with what Paul was just going through, being able to take on projects with historical significance that we think we can efficiently and effectively move along a development track, and again really be able to focus in our current shareholders and upcoming hopeful shareholders that we are purpose built for this. This is our strategy, is to check all of those boxes on our pipeline and be able to get to significant pounds in the ground. And being named Noble Uranium was an important part of that, and we think that signifies where we're going and the intent that we have. So just important to be able to align what we're doing with the name of the company.
By the way, I really like the new name. It's pretty original. It's very original name. So congrats whoever chose the name. Let's move on, Paul. The acquisition, the fresh news of the Shirley Central property in Wyoming's Shirley Basin is a really significant milestone for your company. Can you walk us through this through this transaction, through the strategic importance of this property, and why is it prime example of your focus on brownfield assets, just like you said, with ISR amenability?
Certainly, we're really excited about this acquisition. As I mentioned before, we have a pipeline of properties in mind, and with the mind to build an inventory of pounds in the ground, and I would say, ideally or very intently, picking projects that have high probabilities of success. Now, this Shirley Central project fits that profile very well. This is very strategically located. It's in a past producing camp. It's sandwiched between two big uranium players in a past producing camp. One is putting their mine into production, and we're on their doorstep. And in fact, I think some of are claims that we picked up, things that probably contain some of their resources that they probably should have picked up. So, I think we've got a very, very good strategic set of claims there. I have to, and referring back to the history of the drilling of this camp. So this is, as in the 60s, 70s, this is a producing camp. It produced a sizable amount, 52 million pounds at a very, very good grade of 0.22% U3O8. Because this is a relatively small camp, the whole area really was grid drilled to basically try to find the best juice. In those days, of course, the juice was, try to find something that was of 0.22 or better grade. And then when they did find stuff that was good, they increased the density of drilling. And to the point of, like in our, to the extent of, say, 25 meter by 25 meter center. So they just kind of concentrated, once they found something very good, they concentrated more drilling. And obviously, they put the effort in, they put the money in, they were trying to delineate resources that would eventually be part of their production line, their scheduling. They weren't able to proceed with that because of uranium prices dropped off, and so there's resources that are still still there. Obviously, with UR Energy, going into production, you can see that's an active camp, and there's obviously a lot more opportunity in the camp for maybe of the same grade of past production. But we don't necessarily need to have that grade. Something that would even be half of that would be significant. And what we see from the work that we've done is that there are high concentrated drilling patches on the claims that we've picked up. So we're pretty confident, obviously, that we're going to be building pounds in the ground by going back to those areas. And you'll also see that there's a sort of an alignment of these, even though they seem to be relatively small patches, there's an alignment of it. So potentially this whole thing could be, these claims could all have potential resources all the way along. So there's opportunity for some size there, I think, and potentially some decent grade. So yeah, we're very, very excited about that project. Technically, and obviously, there's a spotlight on the camp because of UR Energy putting it in production.
Yeah, you mentioned UR Energy. Just for a better context, the second neighbor is Uranium Energy Corp, UEC, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah, just to clarify that. The company has identified 5 high-confidence drill targets based on historical data from the operators like Kerr-McGee. Can you discuss the next steps for validating these targets and the timeline for drilling by late summer 2025?
Yeah, well, it's not rocket science, really. Basically, we've got bullseyes to design a very, within a matter of days, we'll have a program planned and initiate our permitting process. We've had experience with the Shirley East project in terms of the permitting steps. We learned from that, and we ended up drilling too. So we've already had some experience in the camp, and the infrastructure that's there is excellent. So we will be, I kind of imagine that we would be drilling there in August. The allocation of funds, we will be putting out a note on that once we've got our thoughts together, and also in consideration of other projects that we're looking at acquiring. So we're going to have to balance our budget, but I think we've got an exciting program that we'll be able to roll out and execute on Shirley Central.
That's excellent. Let's talk a bit about the jurisdiction. We all know uranium, Wyoming are 2 words coming together best as they can. Wyoming is the top uranium producing state in the United States. How do you plan to leverage the state's infrastructure and historical production to advance the project efficiently? Whoever wants to respond, Paul, Drew.
Sure. Yeah, well, infrastructure, when we talk about infrastructure, it's not only roads. Obviously, roads are very important because it gets you into your sites cost effectively. But infrastructure, when I think of infrastructure, it's a number of factors. It's the social acceptability of you working out there. It's the government regulatory framework that allows prescribed steps for you to advance your projects. It's the vendors and suppliers, service companies that are in Casper. That's short distance away. All of this is good infrastructure and setting. And the better that infrastructure, the faster you can advance your project and move towards production. It's a matter of it's a speed thing. It's a cost savings when you have an advanced project with good infrastructure. It's essential for success. In a junior company, your investors will believe in you, but they want to see things rolling out. And I think when you've got when you have very good infrastructure, that just leads to a faster rollout of your advancement of your project. So it'll keep your investors engaged and happy.
Agreed. Drew, the company recently closed an oversubscribed private placement. I believe that was for $1.3 million. How will these funds be allocated to advance Noble Plains exploration and development goals?
Yeah, I mean, first, I think the oversubscribed nature of this placement in still challenging junior market conditions is a vote of confidence for the vision that we are putting together at Noble Plains. And again, for us, with the strategy that we have of these, agreement state, historical production or historical resources, historical data, ISR amenable, we're able to put dollars to work very efficiently and very effectively. With a lot of exploration companies, it's all about discovery potential. And a lot of what we're going to be doing and the dollars that we're going to be spending is less about, what I would call a higher risk discovery potential dollar being spent and more of a de-risking confirmation dollar being spent on the projects that we have because of the confidence we have from the diligence that we've done on the historical work that's there. So for us, it's exciting to be able to spend our dollars, in a very disciplined way that allows us to really see a lot of torque or ROI for every dollar being spent and what we think that can deliver us for known and delineated pounds in the ground. And I think for Noble at a $4 million market cap is, an incredible torque to this uranium cycle with, dollars that will be spent effectively and efficiently when they are raised. And, again, we're not beating around the bush with our strategy. We want to get bigger and we want to get bigger quickly. And we think we have the path and the execution capabilities to be able to do that. So it's important that investors know that when more dollars are coming in, that they are being spent as effectively and efficiently as possible. And as long as we show that and prove that confidence that each dollar that we're spending is giving us a much broader breadth of return for our shareholders, that's a very tangible and very unique story that I think we can really build on and will, just gain confidence as we continue to go. Obviously, we're still fresh out of the gates, but already with the news out this week and, more projects in our pipeline and, we're more excited than ever. And again, I think the important thing will be getting our shareholders more excited than ever as well, and just a tremendous growth path that we're looking forward to.
Sure. Paul, with Bradley Parks as a VP of Exploration, what is the company's approach to ensuring technical rigor in its exploration programs? And you can expand on the team as well. So you two are here, Bradley Parks, who else?
So, I haven't really introduced myself in this interview, but I'm an exploration geologist with 45 years of experience. And worked in all sorts of jurisdictions and many different commodities, and have been successful in at least 10 significant projects of discovery and resource development, amounting to many billions of dollars of new value added. Brad, so when we talk about Brad as a VP of exploration, he's a very good explorer, but it's really Brad and myself. I'm the CEO, but I'm very much a geologist, and so I'm very much involved in the business side and our shareholders and the corporate side. But my heart is in the geology side and advancing the projects as I know how. I've worked for major mining companies before as well, so I know the process. I know the steps. I know how to spend efficiently. Brad and I make a great team, and we'll be adding to that team as well. We recognize that we're a little bit light on the uranium experience, so you're going to see more people in the coming weeks here. That's going to add to that expertise. But already we have decades of experience in deploying and advancing and succeeding, accomplishing significant projects around the world. So I believe that we have the people, and we will add more people as we dig deeper into and need to add to our depth in when we get to advancing the project to more to more advanced stages.
Sure. Quick return to the jurisdictional questions. How do you plan to balance exploration timelines with permitting and community engagement in Wyoming, given the state's regulatory environment?
Yeah, we've already sort of experienced this with last fall with our Shirley East project. The permitting process follows probably about a month and a half to 2 months process, involving with 3 different regulatory bodies. We found working with them was very, very easy. They were amenable to helping out and guiding us. So we'll obviously just leverage off of that relationship that we built with those regulators when we initiate our permitting process, which I would think would be within within 10 days, in fact. So it'll go smooth, I'm sure. And then the community engagement, Wyoming accepts uranium. They're a resource-based state, oil and gas, uranium, coal. So it's quite accepted, and so we don't really see that as a. We will put efforts towards it, but obviously we want to advance the project as quickly as we can from a technical side.
Yeah,
we don't really see the social aspect as one of a deterrent at all. In fact, it'll be we'll get a lot of support.
Sure. We talked a lot about the new acquired projects. However, we didn't talk a lot about Shirley East. Can you walk us through that project, the stage, what was done so far? Give me some color.
Yeah. So that was a good crack at the first step. We had public information from the state on now the Shirley East. We knew that there was something there and we're right next door to UEC's project and past production within 800 meters of a past producing an open pit. So we knew that there was something there. We didn't have a good idea of the configuration and where the very, very specific higher grade areas were. So we ended up doing a grid-based drill pattern over about half a square mile. And from that, very inexpensively, in fact, we probably spent about $200,000 to $220,000, and we did 48 holes, shallow drilling. We knew that from the historic work that it was shallow mineralization. And so we've identified 2 sectors within that half square mile area that has some promise. and those areas are open-ended. These are trends that there still hasn't been closed off. So there'll be efforts and plans to infill as well as extend the length of these two zones.
Okay, gents, let's conclude this conversation with the news floor, with the milestones, key milestones going forward. What can we expect? Drew, you can answer the question, please. What can we expect in the short term and in the long term from the company?
Yeah, near term, obviously, Paul alluded to the news that was out this week on Shirley Central was a key piece. That was our next step for the company to expand on just the Shirley East project. So again, part of proving that we are going to be following this roadmap of bringing more projects into the company is important. And the other key thing that, again, is a milestone for us as we continue to go as well will be, as Paul alluded to several times, is building the right team. It's important to have people in the right seats in the junior company to really lean in all together. I always say it takes a village to have a junior exploration company be successful. And it takes an incredibly strong team to turn good projects into a great company. And that's what we're trying to do here, is take strong projects and turn it into a great company for our investors. So, as we move forward, our main milestone and key focus over the next year and a half will be being able to delineate those pounds in the ground, and where you think we can get towards double digits of uranium pounds in the ground. And that, to me, will be a key measure of success of doing what we said we were going to do. And that's through multiple different routes. That we'll be working on projects that are existing in the company, projects that will come into the company. A little less visible to shareholders will be, keeping a robust pipeline of projects that can come into the company, because the more we look at, the better the opportunities that we actually execute on will be. So for us, it's all about being able to execute on a game plan that, again, comes back to why we are building Noble Uranium, and that is to build out efficient, effective, not high impact ISR uranium development projects that give us a much shorter, compared to traditional mining methods, a way to develop uranium assets in the United States, where they need significant pounds to come to the market in the years ahead. And we think there's a lot of tailwinds, both public perception, government support, even just the general market dynamics. Again, obviously this week, Meta signing a deal with Constellation. This is all happening quickly, and it needs junior companies at the front end of this cycle, like Noble, to be moving fast and getting in front of it and setting the stage so that we don't run into roadblocks, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road without having the fuel for the nuclear reactors that we want to be building out. So it's an exciting time. For me, that will be success, tangible value to our shareholders, but a great company that's got, double-digit delineated 43101 compliant pounds in the ground.
Well said, gents, and I wish you luck with all of the plans you presented over here. Thank you very much for coming to my show.
Lucian, great to be on.
Thank you very much, Lucho. It was awesome. Thank you very much.